Welcome to Chads by Christ. I'm Charlie,
I'm Nishan.
and today, with our newfound freedom, me and Desh have realized that we don't know what to talk about, so we've got a special guest on to do the talking for us. I'd like to introduce our good friend of the show, Bella Bruno.
Hello.
All right, you're gonna do all the talking. We're gonna leave now. See ya.
Yeah, but hang on. No, I lied. We'll do our tradition,
Okay.
and then we'll let her do the talking.
Okay.
So, as is tradition in our youth ministry and in this show, you are new here. So we're going to get you to, well, we spoiled your name, but we'll get you to say 3 interesting things about yourself.
Okay. Well, I am an avid soccer player. I play soccer. I watch soccer. I live and breathe soccer.
That
I
counts as
am.
one.
Yeah, that's one. Okay. I am a revert to the faith. Back to the faith. And number 3, I really like history. Like, I love history. I don't shut up about history. And that's my 3 things.
You also just don't shut up in general.
Yeah, I know. That's actually true.
Charlie, that works in our favor on this show.
Yeah, that's why we got you on.
I'm
Anyway,
helping you make
as is
Anyway.
tradition,
As is tradition.
1, 2, 3.
Hi,
Hi,
Bella.
Hi,
You're
guys.
so enthusiastic there, Dash.
Sorry.
Have a
You're
great
so
day.
enthusiastic there, Dash.
Hi, Bella. Is that Bella?
Poor Dash
Yes.
had to work over the weekend. That's
Yeah,
sad.
poor guy.
Yeah.
You were on deployment. Telstra's military arm.
Active
Yeah, man.
duty.
Yeah. Just like our favorite K-pop stars, our favorite boy band.
Yeah.
You have
Look,
to
I
go.
can't say I'm into the K-pop realm. I can say there's a certain someone we know that's into K-pop things. Not K-pop, but like K-dramas.
Korean things. Yeah.
He's just
Kimchi.
into Korea. Yeah.
He will be at the next World Youth Day.
Yep.
Maybe.
Perhaps.
Of course.
We'll make him go.
Of
We'll
course.
blandside him. We'll say
We'll
we'll just say we're
chloroform
doing a French trip to Korea, and then suddenly the Pope is there too. It's like, oh, fancy running into him.
Oh. We'll do a quick detour.
Well, yeah. He'll ask us what the sleeping bag is for. I'm like, no, don't worry. Just
You won't need one.
We're going camping.
We're going K camping. Yeah.
Going camping.
Anyway, so now it's your turn to do all the talking, Bella.
Yay.
You mentioned that you're a revert, right?
Mm.
So I guess I'll get you to start with, just however much you're comfortable with giving us that story of how you
Sure.
reverted.
Well,
And maybe just what that
buckle-
means too. What
Yeah.
is a revert?
So buckle up. It's gonna be a ride. Where to start? I'll start like with all good stories from the beginning. I think from in terms of Catholicism, I've had all my sacraments growing up. I've done the whole thing. But I think we went to mass every Sunday, but I think I stopped going when I was maybe 8. We had a lot of sports commitment on Sunday, so I think not that that's an excuse. It shouldn't be, because I do it now. But yeah, we stopped going, and we became would you not a Catholic? Yeah, I guess cafeteria, nominal
Seasonal?
Catholic. Yeah, seasonal Catholic. Yeah, that's what word. Yeah, so we only went
How many
to
flavors?
yeah, so we only went to Easter, Christmas, or Holy Week and Christmas masses, and any sacraments that were on, baptism, communion, things like that. And yeah, so when I was 8, so I don't know, Charlie, you dash do the maths. How old am I? I'm 20, in my 22nd year. No, actually, that's okay. It would have been when I was 19 when I came back.
Yeah, that's 11 years.
Yeah,
Roughly.
so 11 years. Yeah, with no, well, yeah, and I think so I just went on with my life, and I wasn't an atheist or anything like that. I always believed in God. In fact, I didn't really understand how people couldn't believe in God. Like, I'd have people at school that were like, "Oh yeah, I'm an atheist," in like year 7, they'd be so casual and sure of themselves. I'm like, really? Like, are you that sure? And yeah, so I never really subscribed to atheism at all. But and I always remember, even in like RE class, always being interested to some degree. But yeah, I don't know. There's a difference between, just having a sort of keen interest that's not really an interest, to actually practicing. So I think, yeah, I went through my high school years, lived my life. Um, you know, what there's some priests, or a priest, I think, that calls them cafeteria Catholics. So they come to the cafeteria, they take what they want basically, and they leave the rest behind. So that was me, like many other Catholics in the world. And then I think probably when was it? 2021. I I think it was like the last lockdown, I think, in anyway, towards the end of the year. So I quit my job, um and everyone was at home, and I was all right throughout the whole pandemic pretty much. But I don't know, yeah, what happened at that point. Probably a mix of things. It all accumulated into one thing, and I kind of had a bit of a breakdown, to be honest. I I The only way I can think of it at that well, now, is I was convicted of all my sins I'd probably ever committed, or at least the ones that stuck out, the ones that I could remember. Well, yeah, even things that I didn't remember just came rushing back. Like, it was a moment of complete terror for me. I was like, oh my gosh, like, what? Like, I just felt really guilty for doing these things, and I didn't know why or where it was coming from. I just felt really, really guilty, and I went through a period of a couple weeks where I was probably really rock bottom, didn't take care of myself. And then out, I out of the blue, in that sort of turmoil, I was outside walking one day, and I thought what I heard was a clear voice say, "Oh, go to see this person that you know." Um, and the kind of voice had a tinge of certainty. And I will preface this by saying that this person was involved in the occult, basically, essentially. So at the time, I thought that that was well, it was, to be honest. In that At that time, it was a clear voice in my head. So I thought, great, let's go this route. This is going to solve all of my problems. So I went that route. I got what is called Reiki, which is, to be honest, I don't really. It's like, not that it's real, but it's like this. It's like energy healing or some garbage like that. So I did a couple sessions of that. Um, and basically, you open yourself up, and yeah, it's a whole lot of stuff. Um, I purposely won't get into a lot of these things in the descriptions, just because I don't want to trigger people's curiosity, because I know that that can be um, a factor in these things as well. Um, and also, yeah, like, just the whole new age stuff. I went straight head forward into it, like crystals. I didn't start with tarot cards. And I was always weary of them, because growing up, I watched this show growing up where they would uh what's it called? Supposedly ghost hunt, right? And in that show, it specifically said that doing tarot and Ouija boards opens yourself up to things. So I thought, yep, I'll stay away from them. But the rest is all right, and I justified it by saying the rest is all right. It all comes from God. Crystals are from God, and um, it was all justified in my head. So I let me just find it. I saw this thing the other day, and they make you think these things are good, but they're really not. So, to say, for example, every sort of culture's got this thing, but it's interwoven into religion culturally, and it's quite bad. So, like, the evil eye. So something as small as that. So that's like God scaring away evil spirits. You've got angel numbers or numerology, and that is, I don't know, angels or something pointing things out. There's astrology, God made the stars. Reiki healing, connecting with God, crystals, um, yeah, basically divination, all these things. And then with these things called angel cards, I thought, oh, there's angel in the name. There's nothing bad about them. It's simply, you know, God's. I'm speaking to God in that way. That's how I justified it to myself. It's complete rubbish now, but that's what I thought. And so I went full on into that. And there came a time, I think, probably in late 2021, where I didn't feel fulfilled in this. And it makes sense now, obviously. But I didn't feel fulfilled in this um, in this life. And this person who I I was associated doing this stuff with, I actually I was sleeping over at their house one night, and I had a pretty horrific dream one night, or nightmare, and that kind of woke me up to the dangers of what I'm doing. And probably within that the next day, I had a video come up of this lady who used to make angel cards, and she had a full-on conversion to Christianity, and I was shocked. And she was saying all of these things about, in the Bible, we're not supposed to be doing these things. And in my mind, I was really resisting it, and I thought, no, surely not. So I kind of let you know, I thought about it for a bit, and I was trying really hard to push against the idea, but the more I pushed against it, the more, the truth was really coming out. And so I had the thought probably early January 2022 I just had the urge to come back to Christianity. So I did some researching at first, and I didn't want to go the Protestant route. I love Protestants. I do not like their theology though. They're great people, but I saw through it straight away. Um I don't think I even had to research much. I think I learnt about the Reformation at school, and something stuck with me there. So I had always heard about these videos on TikTok and things like that the Orthodox Church is a true church. And one thing that I couldn't reconcile in my mind was well, if the Catholic Church is true, then why was there all this clerical abuse, and why you know, why are all these bad things happening in the Catholic Church essentially? And, the Orthodox Church seems perfectly untouched from all these things. So clearly there's something going on there. And I like history, as I said. So I did a deep dive, and I found this podcast that speaks about the early church, basically from when Jesus died all the way through to some of the early church fathers. And
Mhm.
so I did a deep dive on that, and I came to the conclusion that that the Catholic Church was the true church. I'll say before that I was ready to go to an Orthodox mass. I'd lined it up. I was ready to go, but something stopped me, and I didn't go. So it just made sense. I found out, that the Orthodox Church, they schismed from the Catholic Church, and I thought, well, I don't know, something in my mind just made me think, well, this is the original church. Why don't you give it a go? Yes, it is what you know, and it's what you've sort of left behind, but why don't you give it another go? So I was trying to work out what church to go to, and I didn't want to go to my home parish. I wanted something new and something more vibrant. So I asked my grandmother, very pious woman. She prays for everyone. She's amazing. Um, and she kind of told me, "Oh, why don't you go to this church? There's a really good priest there." And so I did. I went there for the first time. I went to mass. And I met these I had been going there for a while. I met these two ladies, one of whom I had already met from my secular years actually, and I didn't even it was a welcome surprise actually. But she advised me to go to the current parish that we're at now. Can I say the parish on this podcast?
We've
Yeah,
got
our
it
parish.
before.
Yeah, we've got links
Yeah.
to the youth ministry email. Yeah,
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. So I went to. So they're like, oh, I said, I'm keen to, meet more young people. I don't really see a lot of young Catholics. Like, are there any young Catholics around? And she's like, yeah, like they've got a youth ministry at St. Francis. And I was like, oh, that's my home parish. I have to go back there. And I went, yeah, I went there. I met Carmel. Actually, I met Olivia and Marie, and then I met Carmel. And yeah, from then on, we pretty much hit it off. I went to the first session. I think you guys were teaching maybe theology of the body, and basically, as I
I wasn't
think so,
around.
yeah,
I joined after you. So yeah.
yeah, you did. We rejoined,
I
yeah,
think
yeah,
it
yeah,
was theology of the body. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
So, yeah. So as I was basically, I was I think 19 at the time. So as I was, coming to these sessions on Sunday, I was kind of learning as I went, and um, I would say between that first time listening to that podcast about the early church, I somehow gathered up all this knowledge about the mass, about the church, everything. I don't know how, I don't know if I learnt it. I think, I don't know, it was definitely a grace of God. I don't know, maybe there was some implanted knowledge there or something like that. But I don't know how. Yeah, I just became fully immersed in everything. I started going to different events in the archdiocese and met other people, and um, yeah, it was crazy. And then there's something else that happens, but maybe I'll let you guys ask some questions if you want.
That was pretty thorough.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
did a good job at your story. Like it was.
I actually have a couple of questions.
Shoot, go for it.
So you mentioned when you started getting into all the occult stuff, you had this like clear voice in your head.
Yeah.
But then further down when you started to come back towards Christianity, it was more like an urge. It's like it wasn't a clear voice, was it?
No, uh I've yeah, well it's like kind of like, you do something, it's wrong. It's um But in that moment, my head was all muddled with thoughts, and that was like a clear voice at
But
that
was there a
moment.
discerning? Was there a discerning factor between the two of them? I guess.
Um, One felt right. I felt at peace
Mm.
being back in the church. The other one just like I was wondering to myself actually towards the end of it. I was like, I feel I feel worse off than what I was. I thought this was supposed to bring me peace, but it's actually giving me more questions. I feel like, you know, very anxious about um like my spirituality and where things are at. So why is it not giving me peace? So I guess that was what, and additionally with that lady's testimony, there was I guess something that spurred me on to look to deeper questions.
Mm-hmm. Um, Sorry, just to confirm, like I was definitely listening, I swear, but you said it was a lady's testimony that like got you thinking about uh coming back to Christianity?
Yeah, yeah. I always say that I wasn't not Christian, but my actions said otherwise. To be honest, um,
Hmm.
and you know what the funniest thing was? I used to say, "Oh, I'm Catholic, but I just don't believe in like the church as an institution." Looking back on that now, it sounds so stupid. Like, yeah, it's the stupidest thing. But that's, where my mind was at. I thought, oh yeah, church bad, people bad in the church. I thought, but I'm Catholic. I'm Catholic. But you cannot separate the church from the people in the church. It doesn't work like that.
Yeah. If it makes you feel any better, I was there too,
Yeah,
back in your high schooly days.
yeah. I think a lot of people.
Actually, before
Mm,
probably like didn't stop until I was about 18.
yeah, it's kind of a thing you have to come to grasps with. It's not. Well, I was struggling with it a lot, and there's that one passage where it says in the Bible that is Satan won't prevail against the church, something like that.
The gates of Hades. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. The gates of hell will not prevail. Yeah. Yeah. So basically, that whenever I get a thought in my mind that's kind of doubting, or I hear a priest has done this, or someone in the church has done this, I think that's just one person, and you know, yeah.
Then you read the whole Bible and you realize none of it's really anything new. Yeah.
Yeah, I gotta say, I started Bible in a year this year, and oh my gosh, the people are really messed up. Like, yeah, I thought like the world was messed up at the moment, which we kind of are, but yeah, some really messed up people in the Bible.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. Do you guys have any more questions?
I've got a deeper question, but have you got anything, Dash?
Um, I did want to ask because um, because it seems like it's interesting that it seems like your love of history really culminated as well, like in
Mm,
coming back into the faith, especially I don't know, um, for example, I also during high school I wasn't that close to the faith, but
yeah,
I think what brought me back was um, mainly just seeing young people in the church,
yeah.
which it seems like
Mm.
that was a factor for you as well. But I would you be able to tell us a little bit about how your love of history culminated with the church? Because
Yeah.
specifically when you were talking about the early church fathers, it seemed like that was really
Mm,
helpful for you, learning about
yeah.
their teachings and things like that. I know you we've known you for a while and you've spoken about that a lot as well.
Yeah. Um. So it was more in the early parts. It wasn't really learning about the church fathers' teachings. Mainly, it was bits and pieces about heresies and things that were cropping up in the early church. But it was more just the events that were happening. All the councils that were happening. I saw the formation of the church happening, and I was like, no, the church wasn't created with Constantine, like some people say. Um, but
I don't even know who
you know,
Constantine is.
yeah. What did you say?
I barely know who he is.
Oh,
He
He's an
was the
emperor
guy
of
that
sorry.
some sort. He
basically
has a
allowed
city named after him.
Christianity, right?
Sorry?
He was the first emperor that openly allowed Christianity, right?
Yeah, he was, I don't know if he made or he was involved. He made the Edict of Milan, which made Christianity legal in the Roman Empire for
Right,
the first time.
right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so he was the first one, but after a couple hundred years of persecution. And even just hearing about for me, hearing about the martyrs was a big I guess, well, witness to the faith too, all of the apostles, how they died, what they endured. Even John, despite
Mm,
he was the only one that wasn't martyred, Saint John, but what he endured, I think he was burnt in hot oil, they tried to poison him, and the guy would not die. And they were so angry that he wouldn't die, so they just left him on the island of Patmos, but they just left him there
mm,
because yeah, they couldn't kill him essentially. And the early Christian martyrs, um, they get read out at mass, that whole long list, plus the many, many others that there are. And how they died, it wasn't a simple, you know, strike to the head and they're gone. Quite painful ways,
mm,
and they endured that. They loved Christ so much that they would let that happen to themselves. And I thought, wow, so these people must be onto something. This isn't, um, yeah, this isn't something trivial. This is actually, the formation of the church. Yeah, there's
mm.
that quote, "The blood of the martyrs is the seed of the church." I think, oh my gosh, what's his name? Oh, I could be wrong. Origin, maybe. Um, yeah, I think he's the one who said that. He's another early Christian writer.
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah, just yeah, history played a huge factor um, for me. I don't know if that answers the question. I probably went
Yeah,
off to
no,
the
no.
side.
Yeah, that was good.
Hmm. I just googled that quote. It was from Tertullian.
Yeah, that's
Or
the guy.
yeah.
They're not. I don't think both of Origin and Tertullian are saints. may or may not have slipped into heresy towards the end of their life. But they wrote some good things, regardless. Anyway.
I'm not sure. I don't know my history.
Anyway, yeah.
Anyway,
He said a good thing anyway. But yeah, so yeah, there's that. I don't know. You guys got any more questions, or do you want me to move on to the next sort of bit?
I don't have any more. Charlotte, did you have any more?
I can wait. Keep going.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I started going to the youth group and getting immersed in that, learning about the church and daily devotions. Um I was so against the rosary at the beginning. Like, just the duration, I thought, "Oh my gosh, I cannot do this. This is horrible." And then I was I prayed the rosary one night, and I had a really, really bad dream, and it was quite horrible and vivid, actually. I won't say what happened, but yeah, and just um yeah, these different things were happening, and I thought, yeah, this isn't right. Like, spiritually, these things were happening, and I thought, this isn't right. Um but yeah, I got in touch with a priest, and well, I actually said to someone in our group, I said, "Hey, I'm kind of going through these things. This is what I dealt with in the past." And yeah, they said, "Oh, you need to speak to the priest. This is kind of important." And I was putting it off for a while. I thought, no, no, like, it's just in my mind. It's fine. And yeah, the priest said, "Leave it with me." And he full on sat me down, had a whole conversation with me, and he said, "Yeah, you're probably dealing with some sort of what's the word?
Demonic oppression.
I don't think
Oh.
it's oppression. I think it was obsession.
Ah.
I think,
Well, what's the
yeah.
difference?
Anyway, um, give me a moment. Look, it may have been a mixture of a lot of things, to be honest, but yeah, there was something demonic there, essentially.
Yep.
And what happens is, when you, um, basically, a lot of these practices I was doing, you actually, like, willfully, or, it, yeah, you open yourself up to whatever's there, essentially. And, you can have what they call spirit guides and whatever, whatever, all these people. But obviously, demons don't care if you willingly or not let them in. If they've got a free pass, free access, they're just gonna go straight for it. So that's what happens to me, and what happens to not everyone, but, some people that, practice new age, practices. And, yeah, so I had to, do some deliverance, sessions, and, yeah, I had to go through that. And yeah, that's probably the end of that. And I can't say I didn't struggle afterwards. I still struggle now, but there's still it's a path to healing. So it's good.
Hmm. It's a process.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So
Yeah. So
yeah.
the last question I had for you,
Yeah.
based on your whole story,
Mhm.
has to do with evangelization.
Mhm.
So you, having experienced the things you have, are like
Yeah.
uniquely situated to know what the seculars, quote unquote,
Yeah.
are like.
Mhm.
Um, it's like, what do you have any ideas on like how to bring the gospel to them? Because I know for you it was a bit different, having already been
Yeah.
baptized and all that, but just
Um
ideas.
there's I've been thinking about it a lot, actually, ever since I came back. I'm I became very zealous. I still kind of am. That kind of happens to converts and reverts. You get very zealous at the start, and you want to proclaim the Lord to everyone, but not everyone wants to listen. You find out soon enough. And you got to think of crafty ways, or you kind of just have to let it go, and you have to pray for them, because some people's hearts are too hardened. It's just not that right moment to speak to them.
Mm.
And in my case, there's a quote that came to mind a couple months ago, and it's by Fulton Sheen. It's sometimes the only way that the good Lord can get into our hearts is that He has to break them. And I think a lot of people, when they go through conversions, they they kind of hit a rock bottom spiritually or whatever it may be, and the only thing that they're left to grasp onto is their maker, essentially God. That's the only thing that they're left to grasp on. And if there's one little thing that they're, grasping on that's not God, they'll soon find out, like me, that it's not the right thing. It's not fulfilling you. And um, in terms of evangelization, I think it's a combination of. I actually watched a video yesterday. I think he's a Protestant guy, but he made a good point that, every sort of secular person, if you evangelize, that they'll they'll say, if you say to them, "Oh, do you know who Jesus is?" And I'll say, "Yeah, he died for my sins." They know that. It's been said for many centuries. Everyone knows that.
Mm.
But
Mm,
people want to know sort of the hard-hitting questions, why does God let people die? Why does God let really vulnerable people die, children, and in harsh and horrible ways?
mm,
And
Mm.
he made a good point, and I never even like thought about it um, like that. But um, I think there's actually, even with the mass, there's a whole nother thing of obstacle of getting someone to a mass. But um, there's there's a whole nother thing about getting, someone to a mass. But yeah, I just think that the mass is so beautiful. Um, when I realized what was happening, actually, because a lot of people, even, I keep, you know kind of talking badly about Protestants, but I think even, secular people and a lot of Catholics, they don't realize that, it is literally Jesus Christ in the Eucharist. It is literally him. And
Mm.
I don't think, as growing up, it was told to me that, oh, Jesus is there. I didn't know it was Jesus in the Eucharist. I just thought, oh, Jesus is on the altar somewhere. I don't know. I didn't really it didn't pop
mm,
into my mind. But
Yeah.
that's one thing. We are not catechizing our youth well. Like, it is not. Maybe it's a bit better now because there's a need for it, but the basic things I didn't know. And learning about it, I was filled with a bit of anger. I went to Catholic schools, and I was, if I learnt it, I forgot it, or I'm not sure. Yeah. But yeah, it didn't stick with me, obviously. And that's what's happening to a lot of kids. You know, what is supposed to be Catholic schools are not teaching Catholic doctrine. In fact, they're going against what the Catholic Church teaches. And so these kids are going to Catholic schools, and they're also getting confused about, you know, um, what we believe, what the Catholic Church believes. And yeah, so I'm still quite angry about it, that you know, we've been let down. They always say that the youth is the future of the church, but if you're not feeding your flock, then how are we supposed to flourish? And I think now we got a lot of good things going. Like, once I saw what the youth group at our parish was doing, I thought, where has this been? Like, this is amazing what we're doing. And
mm,
it's not dumbed down either. This is what we believe, and this is what we believe, essentially. I was shocked, to be honest. And another thing, that kids nowadays, they have a lot of struggles. They've got to argue with kids who have have decided that they're atheists from a really young age. There's now we live in a time where Christianity is not the major, well, probably is the major religion, but um it's not the dominant one in society, at least. I would say there's a bit of Gnosticism going on there, and lots of selfishness going on in society, where people are really, only concerned for themselves. And yeah, there's no, you know, love for your neighbor. Once I um reverted, it was like this film was taken away from my eye. It was like I saw the world in a different way. Like, I saw suffering. I saw suffering before, but I saw suffering in a completely different way. I saw the marginalized. I I saw people that I never even would have thought of. I saw different issues in different ways. Yeah, it's crazy. But yeah, I think there needs to be more done in evangelism. That's I'm not sure how. And that's kind of up to the bishops to get
Mm.
that going. Well, at least to lead. And if the bishops can't do it, then I think it's time for the youth to stand up and do it. Yeah.
Yeah, but how though?
But how? How though?
But how though?
Well, this is the thing. I'm noticing a lot more younger people. Like I'm seeing online that a lot of younger people are reverting, like really young teenagers, and I'm quite shocked. And I know that people are realizing it's a bit of everything, but I'm noticing young people are realizing young people. We are young people, but
I'll
um,
speak for yourself.
yeah, okay, he's old then. Um, these guys are elderly.
Hear that,
Um,
arthritis? Yeah, there you go.
there you go. So yeah, like I'm noticing that. Well, teens now they're realizing that um, this will be controversial to say in a secular space, but we are in a Catholic space, so it's going to be good. Um, um, they're starting to realize that no, if you're a female, you cannot become a male, or you cannot identify as an animal when you are a human. It doesn't work like that. There's it seems I've just been thinking about this. This one of the weeks just started, but it's been a really contemplative Monday. But um, you should start that segment, Contemplative Mondays.
Bella, our podcast is weekly.
Oh, well, I gave you an idea and you shot it down. All right, so
I didn't shoot it down.
you shot it down.
Like every
Ah.
recording would have to be Contemplative Monday if we took your suggestion.
Yeah, but we release on Sundays.
Oh
Oh.
yeah.
Look, it sounds like a you problem. Okay, so
Yeah, it really is.
no, I'm joking. What was I saying? That
Something about furries.
oh yeah, well yeah, that's what they're called, furries. Yeah, literally, we're told all of these things that go against reality. People people obviously, what they see, they think to themselves, well, that's not what's really happening. And so curiosity, sparks and they go deeper and deeper. And, the truth will set you free. And ultimately, I'm seeing heaps of these young kids. Like, I read a story about this 14-year-old girl that has converted to Catholicism. Her family are atheists, they're quite liberal people, and they were so against her um, becoming Catholic, like they absolutely despised it. And I thought, gosh, what courage, a 14-year-old. Like that's in this culture, like
Yeah.
yeah. Would that be Gen Alpha? Yeah, Gen Alpha. That's like the first lot of them, I think. But yeah, the iPad kids. Yeah, but I think it's a bit of seeing through the culture. We also, as Christians, have the duty to reach out as well. Um, I know what I've started thinking about and what I've started doing is like doing screenings of movies. They don't have to be inherently Catholic, but there's definitely tinges of Catholicism, and you don't even have to squint. Um, And I think once you get people exposed to the values, there's something in them that's going to click. And that's how I actually came back. One of the other reasons I came back to Catholicism that um, I saw the beauty of the church. I like the arts. Like I saw, movies, even, Christian movies that weren't Catholic. I I watched a movie called The Case for Christ about this guy who is a Protestant pastor. I think he's a pastor. He's Protestant. His name's Lee Strobel, and it literally chronicles like this guy was an atheist and his wife got baptized, and he was pretty sour about that. And then he's a journalist, and he goes out of his way to disapprove that Jesus was an actual person or that he rose from the dead, and ultimately he comes to a dead end. And yeah, but things like that. That's and that I actually watched that when I was probably 15. So I've always, and that was when I was quite well out from the church. I would say I wasn't too far into it. But yeah, even reading books, not that I've read them, but or even watching movies. You've got the Lord of the Rings, you've got Narnia, these great Christian authors. Um, yeah, and I think the truth cannot be contained, and I'm starting to see that. I was despairing quite for quite a while. I was thinking in my head, how are we gonna get back from this? Like, this is horrible. We're in ancient Rome all over again. And I had a bit of a debate with Charlie about that, but um
I've
yeah,
already
I lis
forgotten it.
oh, we can
I don't.
rehash it if you want.
What? If we,
Oh, no,
I
I
have a
think
feeling my point was like, yeah, we are.
and I think
OL.
I yeah. No, yeah, I think we
Not
are, to be
OL, but
honest.
like, yeah.
Yeah, there's a guy that was on, Matt Fradd's podcast today, and he was saying that, basically, we're in a post-Christian society. So, basically, the Christian values, quote, unquote, that you see, they're, it's paganism draped in Christianity. So, it looks like Christianity, but it's not. So, this transhumanism stuff, yeah, all of this that I don't know how to describe it other than selfishness. It's just, yeah, a big thing. In terms of abortion, people are happy to kill their own child now, and they're not afraid to say it. That's what the Romans used to do. It baffles me. And then Christianity came along, and you know babies that were had the slightest defect were left on the side of the road to essentially to die, wither away and die. And when Christianity came into the Roman Empire, you see all these Christians, you know, taking in orphans and caring for people. And that's what Christianity has done. It hasn't spread through the sword like some religions. It has spread through generosity, and it converts people's hearts, basically.
Mm.
Yeah, well said.
Yeah.
And on that note, I think we'd better call it here,
Yeah.
because what are we for time? I think we're over for
4
sure.
minutes. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll call it here and get you to round us off with some prayer intentions, Bella.
Me? Oh, okay.
I'll just start us off, and then me and Desh will chip in
Right.
as usual.
Do you want me to? How do I do it?
Well, just any prayer intention you want.
Oh, all right. Yeah. I guess we pray for all our leaders in the church. The Pope especially. We pray for the Holy Father. Um, because I'm sure that they're undergoing a lot of burdens at this time as well. So we pray for them. Also people discerning the true faith, that they may find the truth and they may be at peace as well. Yeah.
Desh?
Yeah. Yeah, that's awesome, Bella. I think I would. Uh, yeah, I guess going off of what Bella said, I would also like to pray for people that are discerning the faith. Maybe people that are a bit on the fence, like they're not sure. That they're able to get the clarity that they need and to be able to come back to the true faith. And like for people that are doing the good work, like with evangelization, that they're able to reach and save as many souls as possible. That's sort of what we're trying to do with the podcast. But there's people on a much grander scale that are doing really, really good work. Our priests and
Yeah.
the clergy.
Yeah.
So we pray for all of them.
Yep. Uh,
Sure.
yeah, in a similar vein, I pray for those of us who are in the faith. I pray that we don't despair when we look around and we see that everything seems like a pile of hot garbage. And I also pray that as much as we spoke about evangelization, I pray that we all don't forget our own personal calls to holiness.
Yeah.
Because sometimes, like, our own sanctity is the most effective. No, not even sometimes. Like, our own sanctity is the way that we show Christ and image Christ to the world.
Yeah.
And so, like, we can't ever forget that.
Yeah.
And like Bella was saying, you know, like the scandals in the church, there's nothing more damaging to evangelization than hypocrisy, in my opinion. So
Yeah. Lead by example and so forth.
yes.
Yeah.
So yeah, look, as C.S. Lewis is wont to say in his Narnia books, you know, onwards and upwards is the goal for all of us.
Yep.
So you know, we go onwards and upwards, and we call others to follow and to come with.
Yep.
So I pray for all that, and I also pray for the bog standard that all the conflicts in the world come to a peaceful resolution.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, thanks so much, Bella.
Thanks for having me on.
You're a great help. You did all the talking for us, like we requested.
I feel like I did too much talking, but if I gave
Yeah,
you context,
not at all. Not at all.
Nah. Good content. And
Your
again,
story
yeah,
was really inspiring.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
even like as someone like even for someone listening that's, you know, been a part of the faith like
Yeah.
for like however long, like it's always nice to hear how someone came back into the faith and like how fervent and like faithful they are now. It's very inspiring.
I'll add one thing. It was all God. It was by the grace of God, because it wouldn't have happened otherwise. Definitely not.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mm.
And at that point, it's probably a good time to call it, I reckon.
Yeah.
Charlie, ain't got anything else to say? Any other final thoughts? Cool.
No, that's all from me. Yeah.
Alrighty. Yeah, I guess we'll close it out. Once again, thanks for joining us, Bella. We'd love to have you back on again sometime if you'd like to join us again.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Thanks, Bella.
Yeah. And yeah, pray for us, guys. We'll be praying for you guys all as well, of course. And yeah, God bless. We'll see you on the next one.
Yeah. Thanks for listening, guys. God bless.
See ya.